For the rich, credit is leverage. They pay balances in full, they collect points, rewards, miles that allow them to fly business class for free. For the poor and middle class, credit is survival. Groceries, clothes, school fees, you pay interest, you pay late fees. Credit abroad can be a lifeline. From buy now, pay later apps to credit cards. It can help you afford things you need now, even if you don't have the money, especially if those things are a necessity. But the question is, when does it help you survive and when does it quietly keep you broke? When I first traveled abroad to the UK, I came with my BlackBerry phone from Nigeria. It was working, it was fairly new, and every phone I bought after that in the UK, I paid for cash. Back then, my mindset was simple. No need for credit cards because they will cost debt. And if you cannot afford something, don't buy it. So when I was first offered my first credit card in the UK, I declined. I said, no, I don't want, don't turn me into a debt though, because I've heard so many stories that with credit card, you can become an impulsive spender. You would lose control. So I was like, you know what? Let's just keep this temptation away. So I refused. But my husband encouraged me to build my credit history in the UK, which I could only do by using credit facilities. Later, I accepted a small £300 credit limit from Santander. I would use the card and pay it off immediately. No carryover of balances. And then they offered to increase my credit limit, which I rejected. I didn't want to fall into debt. I was like, let me just be maintaining this £300 so that you people will know that I'm not a debtor or a causa. But that small card taught me something important. Credit isn't just about borrowing. It builds trust with the banks. And in some cases, credit cards can even protect you. I learned this the hard way when I decided to pay my driving instructor over £1,000 for my driving lessons. So one day, my driving instructor and I were going to the location where we usually have my driving lesson. He was pulled over by the police and arrested. I was left there stranded on the road. So I had to call my husband to drive me back home. But I was very understanding of his personal situation. When he was released, we scheduled a next lesson and he came to pick me. But I noticed that he charged me for that class that didn't hold because we were even on our way to the location when he got arrested. He charged me for the class. I was like, Oga, you were the one that had your personal problems interrupt our lessons. So I should not be paying for that. That's not my fault. In fact, our agreement was for you to transport me to and fro the driving location. But you left me on the way. And I'm not even asking you for compensation for that. You're asking me to pay you for a lesson that did not hold because of your personal problems. So I said, no, I'm not paying you for that class. I told him, don't minus that. That is still on my balance. Don't take it out. But the man refused. And I told him, if that's the case, I don't want you to be my instructor again. Refund me the remainder of my balance and goodbye. Guess what? The man wouldn't refund my money. He wouldn't pick my calls anymore. I contacted the school that assigned him to me. And they said, oh, there's nothing they could do. They said they cannot help me because I paid him. Okay. I called my bank. My bank said, did I pay credit or debit? I said, I paid with my debit card. My bank said, if it was my credit card, they could have done a chargeback, investigated, and, I could have gotten part of my money back. But since it's a debit card, there was nothing they could do. So I had to sue that guy in a small claims court to get the money. And that one is another story for another day. Because of that situation, I realized that credit cards can actually be a protection. Me paying with my debit card, just thinking, oh, I don't want to be indebted to any credit company. I could have just paid with my credit card. I use my debit card to pay my credit and I would still be protected. So that taught me a lesson. When I have big purchases, anything from 500 upwards, I use my credit card. I still use my debit card for small things, small things. But once it's getting to a bigger purchase, I use credit cards. Or paper, because paper can also protect you. Paper has something like this that you can open a dispute. I've had some cases where you pay for something and what they sent you is different. I just quickly dispute it in paper and I get my money back. Send them their thing and I get my money back. Now, I know some financial gurus disapprove of credit cards. They say, never have a credit card. They are draining, they are bad. Mostly because it encourages people to buy what they don't need. You see something on sale because you have a credit card, you want to buy it. Because if you're using cash or your debit card, sometimes it's harder to just buy things on impulse. So I get where the financial gurus come from and say, only use cash, don't use credit. Pay for things with debit. But the truth is, many of those voices are speaking from privilege. They don't know what it feels like to arrive in a new country with little savings, no safety net, and family depending on you. Sometimes buy now, pay later is the only way they keep their household running. But here's where it becomes dangerous. Using buy now, pay later for things like clothes, sneakers, gadgets, luxury items, not things that you need to survive. It becomes a lifestyle debt. At first, it feels easy. $20 here, $40 there. But when you add them up, you see you have 10 different small debts and they add up in amount. And that's how the circle starts. Realistically, in some places in Canada, car is not a luxury. It's a necessity, especially when you have kids. Think of those winter months. Public transportation here is not just as sophisticated as you have in Europe. So one of the first big purchases many immigrants, especially those with children, buy in Canada is a car, a reliable car. For most families, a dependable second-hand car is okay. We started with an old car we paid for cash. After that, our old car conked out. We financed a decent car, not luxury or brand new, but something reliable that we could easily afford the payment for. And that's what I tell people. Even if you finance, let it be something you can actually pay for comfortably without struggling with your monthly payment. Because if you default, they will come and collect that car from you. And that will dent your credit history. And I don't know who would want to sell a car for you for credit or financing options anymore. There's no need to show up because even some of the super rich people, they don't drive these fancy cars. So people say if it's $5,000 you have, just buy a $5,000 car. Sounds like wise advice until $5,000 car leaves you stranded on the road and you realize that you were penny wise, pounds foolish. So for me, a dependable car is enough. I know some families who buy their own cars and pay in cash. And if that's you, that's great. But if not, sow your code according to your material, even with financing. Because at the end of the day, many parts of Canada, we still need our cars. An interesting thing about credit is that it creates two completely different worlds. For the poor and middle class, credit is survival. Groceries, clothes, school fees. You pay interest, you pay late fees, and you stay stuck. For the rich, credit is leverage. They pay balances in full, they collect points, rewards, miles that allow them to fly business class for free. All these funded by the interest the poor people are paying. Same system, two outcomes. And I'll be honest, I'm not perfect either. I still use credit facilities today, but I try to pay them off quickly, especially credit cards that attract like 19% interest, which is like you're collecting loan from loan sharks. So for me, the rule is simple. I use credit for protection and big purchases, but I try not to carry over balances because the moment you do, you are paying far more than you realize. So is credit abroad your bridge to stability or the chain that keeps you running in a circle? Because at the end of the day, one group is stuck paying interest and the other is collecting rewards. Which side are you really on? Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.